Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, when or wherever you may be. Now, today let's talk about a video that I'm going to show you about Trump following in his threats as he announced a significant troop withdrawal from Germany. Okay, let's watch. First, we watch the video, then we talk. Okay, let's go.
US President Donald Trump announced that his country will withdraw 5,000 active duty troops from NATO ally Germany in the next 6 to 12 months. This fulfills earlier threats after Trump clashed with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz over the US-Israeli war in Iran. Merz had criticized Washington's lack of strategy in the conflict. The Pentagon said the decision follows a thorough review of force posture in Europe. Germany hosts several US military facilities, including Ramstein Air Base and a medical center. The number of troops leaving would be about 14% of the country's total deployment. Trump recently suggested his administration was also looking into reducing its presence in Spain and Italy next. Democrats in Congress warned that the withdrawal would benefit Russia and weaken US security. Analysts say the move could carry disastrous consequences at a time of heightened global instability. Depending on operations, exercises, and troop rotations, the US stations around 80,000 to 100,000 personnel on the continent.
All right, let's talk about the obvious first. This comes after Prime Minister Merz, the German Chancellor, criticized the United States and their lack of a plan or a reason to do what they are doing in Iran. So, Mr. Trump does not like to hear someone criticizing him or his posture or whatever the hell he does. I think he doesn't even like Merz because Merz is a tall guy and he's taller than him and slimmer. You want to know how this is being classified around here? Another tantrum. And to tell you the truth, people are not really worried about it. Because those 5,000 American troops that are leaving, they will be replaced by European-based units. Because we are addressing NATO now as NATO Europe. The United States is not really in the equation anymore. And I know this will be in terms of operation, people will have to scramble to fill in these troops that are leaving. But in my view, I think we need to remove all American troops from Europe. I want them to leave. Okay? I want them to be replaced by European troops. And this is why we are creating a kind of a European NATO without the United States. I think I spoke of it in another video. If I didn't, I will have to talk about that. But what is really happening right now here in Europe, and if you are an American, you should listen to this, is that we are treating the United States as an unreliable piece of the puzzle. If today there was some kind of event where we needed to defend ourselves from Russia, for example, we would be unsure if the American president wouldn't simply say, don't attack my friend Putin. This is why we are not sharing intel with you anymore, except in a need-to-know basis. And Americans seem to be oblivious about this. Okay, you don't seem to understand to what extent has this entire Trump event gone into so far. You don't seem to understand the lack of trust. You don't seem to understand that these are not relationships that will be easily repaired. You don't even seem to understand that you are technically being replaced, being removed from the equation. What this new NATO initiative, let's call it like this new European NATO or European army, if you want to call it like this, but I don't think that will be very correct because many of the former NATO allies of the United States are also participating in this initiative. Okay, even Canada is participating in this initiative. Um, this new mechanism, it has been created to replace the United States, to replace we are look, they are being very diplomatic about it. They are saying that we need to not rely so much on the United States. We need to protect ourselves and this and that. But they, NATO is still very important. Is blah, blah, blah. Pardon me, just had my lunch. But uh, this is rhetoric. This is political rhetoric. Okay, you have to understand this. You have to be able to distinguish between what is common political politeness and what it is they are trying to say. When you hear not relying so much in the United States, you should read get rid of the United States. And as for Russia benefiting from this, well, yes, it might benefit from this. But the issue here is Russia doesn't have any capabilities to do NATO war type of attack. They really don't. The Russian army is in disarray. The Russian army is operationally very weak. The Russian army, it will disappear. Okay, Russia is dismantling itself on the world stage. In my view, it has already dismantled itself. It's now benefiting from this entire Iran situation, but I really don't know to what extent they are benefiting, because they are still losing ground in Ukraine. They are still getting kicked out. You know, their accounts are still frozen in Europe, where they had most of their money. Their citizens are stopped from entering in Europe more and more. More and more. It will, with this, I think it was this Estonian prime minister that had this initiative of banning all Russian combatants, former soldiers or whatever, into Europe, and it will be more damaging than that because you will watch complete voidness of relationships with Russia, and Russia, it will still be there. It will still be a threat. But it's like having a wild dog in your neighborhoods, in your neighbor's backyard, and you have to make sure that your fence doesn't have any holes, so the dog won't come in and bite one of your kids. Okay, this is basically the same situation that we have here. Using tactical nukes, well, Europe also has tactical nukes. Sorry, France and Germany have them, and maybe a couple of more. And to use nuclear weapons, look, it's a strategic mistake. It's good as a deterrent because, as I said before in the past, if Iran really had a nuclear weapon, the United States wouldn't, in Israel, can't forget to associate Israel to this because they are also in the same group. They would have not, and Israel does have nuclear weapons. If Iran had nuclear weapons, the United States wouldn't have done what they did. This is why that lunatic in North Korea is still there, because he has nuclear weapons, and because people know he's mad enough to use them. That is the only reason why he has not been either invaded or toppled or whatever. That is the only reason, nothing more. The rest is politics. The rest is other issues that have nothing to do with the strategic, military, geopolitical system. Okay, it has nothing to do with that. A nuclear weapon is like having a big stick. And if you leave me alone, I won't wave my big stick at you. But if you do what Russia is doing, waving their stick against Ukraine, we will wave back. And that is the only reason why Europe still has not intervened more deeply in Ukraine. In my view, that is a strategic error. But luckily for us, the Ukrainians have been enduring this shit, and also in my view, I think we will have to compensate them in whatever ways we can by bringing them into NATO, bringing them into to the EU, by supporting their economy, by supporting their citizens, and by making sure no one will ever do this to them again. And they can also contribute because they have become expert soldiers, as we can see, expert drone warfare uh, combatants. You know, they have become a real European potency in terms of army, in terms of military strategy, in terms of intelligence, all of that. And they will be very important for us. But as for this, look, I just want to say this to people. Some people might be worrying about it, or some people might be laughing about it in the United States because they say, "Oh, look, Trump, big man, is punishing. Or you talk bad about us, then we are going to talk bad. We are going to do this and that to you." First of all, you idiots, Merz didn't speak ill of the United States. Merz speak ill about your dumb ass lunatic orange buffoon president. And if you don't like to listen to these words, well, my friends, he is a lunatic buffoon. Someone that speaks and does what he did. He does, sorry. He's still there, I think. Not all there, but he's still there. Someone that does that. What, what do you want me to call him? Mr. Orange President? Fantaführer von Kankelstein? The man is a lunatic, man. He's a toddler. Okay, Spain spoke bad of him. Hey, I want to take Spain out of NATO. I want to do this. I want to do that. Melanie didn't in Italy didn't support him, and he, oh, I want to do this. Now Merz speaks bad of him. Oh, I want to do this. Do you realize how ridiculous and how pathetic this is? Do you realize? Look, imagine you're a seasoned politician used to, of having to take decisions that are very important, strategic uh, decisions to the defense of your country and of your allies. Imagine you are Mr. Merz and you are watching this shit. What the hell did you expect him to say? In my view, he was very genuine and very controlled about it. Because he could have been much more cruel. What do you expect Macron to say about this when Mr. Trump even insulted him and his wife? I don't care who Mr. Macron's wife is. I don't care that she is older than him. I don't really care anything about that. Because those are things of his personal life. I care about what he does. I care about his attitude. I care about what he does that influences France, Europe, and the world. That is what I care about. But no, you Americans, you are more worried about gay people, about transgender people, about this so-called woke culture, and then in the other side, the radicals. In the other side, they are worried about this and that, and you are all worried about something except with what really matters. Let doctors decide the transgender issues, if you want to call it like this. I don't give a fuck about that. That's a waste of time. Just like going into battle for your imaginary little friends is also stupid. Anyone having an argument or anyone trying to wage a war or whatever persecution of another group just because they are of a different religion than you, I think you should all be committed to lunatic asylums. Because I have no issues with religious people. I know a lot of religious people. I have religious people in my family. I decided not to talk about my religious ideas here. What do I believe in? If I believe in anything or not? I try not to do this because I want to remain completely biased. So when I'm talking about these issues, I simply block it off, as everyone should. Because we are talking about politics, we are not talking about imaginary friends and imaginary ideas and prejudice and idiocy. I want you to coldly look at this fact. The Prime Minister of Germany, all that he said is this: they don't seem to have any strategy in solving this. They should have not do this. They should end this as quickly as possible. I don't know how they are going to end this, but they have to end it one way or another and stop this and let things grow into some kind of normalcy. This is all he said. And look at the reaction of your little president, your little dear leader. Threats, insults, and stupid decisions, like putting tariffs on what is essentially is trying to do is trying to essentially to put tariffs on German cars. And here we are, following up on his threat. And all he is doing, you want to know what it is? These 5,000 soldiers, they are going to leave, and then Europe is going to fill them in. So you will be losing your power projection. And as your troops that are around, I know they said the figures here, but latest figures is around 70,000 American soldiers in NATO bases in Europe. You want to know what is going to happen? They are going to be progressively replaced by soldiers from the countries of NATO. Because we'll find a way to do it, okay? Even here in Portugal, where we don't have mandatory draft, whenever there is a need to fill in vacancies in the army, there's a mandatory draft, and kids go into the militaries. Of course, I'm not happy about it, but look, it's not the end of the world. If I was younger, I would go to the army. They provide you with education, they provide you with training, they provide you with the risk, of course, of being a military person, but they also offer you a future. You can educate yourself in the army, you can have a career, pension, all of that, ensured by the army. And it's my personal opinion that any person that serves in the armed forces deserves all of that and much more. Because they are defending our way of life, they are defending our democracy. But that is just me. I think maybe sometimes this is this is why some of the left-wing politics around here in my country don't appeal to me. Okay, because I understand the need of having an army. I understand the need of having order in society. I just don't understand how order can become harassment to minorities. This is why in my videos I'm constantly telling you this, I'm constantly talking about it, because it's very important that you talk about these things. It's very important that you talk about harassment of minorities. It's very important that we talk about the harassment of transgender people, of gay people, because you know it's stupid. It only bothers me because it's so stupid. Transgender people, they are not even 1% of the entire world. What do you think? You think just because you let the transgender people alone, they are going to transform the entire society in some kind of transgender heaven where they force change the sex of children in school and all of that shit, or that gay people are going to turn you gay. Gay people will only turn you gay if you are gay. If you like to have sex with someone of your own gender, you're gay. What should you do about it? How should I know? It's your business, not mine. You can either accept it, you can either be, I don't know, you might even be bisexual, you might like everything. That's your issue. I know what I like. Okay, I've spoken about it, but I will share it with you again. Ma'am, I'm straight. Okay, I like women. What's the issue? It's it's like someone that likes chocolate pudding and another person that likes the strawberry pudding. It's the same shit. And people keep confusing these things with the ability of people to exist in society, of the ability of people adopting a child, of people working, of people being in the army, of people being in a sports event. The only you know, in sports event, who has to decide the transgender the participation of transgender people? The people that have to decide that are the medics. Medical assessments, okay? They decide if there is an advantage or disadvantage or whatever it is. And that's the way it should be. Logic. Logic, applying logic to everything. And meanwhile, you have this idiot that each time someone says no, or someone tells him, you are not doing the correct thing, you are doing this, you are doing that, the minute he's contradicted, the minute he throws in a tantrum and he does this. Or when he wants to make some money in the stock market, he comes out with some kind of dumb tweet like saying, for example, the war is almost over. This was the last one, and then he puts on another tweet: we should destroy Iran. Okay, all and all for greed. This is why I don't buy the entire fool thing. He's a lunatic, okay, but he knows what he's doing when he says these things. I don't excuse it on his age or on his mental state. No. If he's talking about this shit, if he's doing this, he also is benefiting from this. Him and his family and his friends and the people that put him there. And I'm sorry, but at least here in Europe, we have no more patience for this shit. Okay? You want to fret, okay? You Americans are going to pay more for your Volkswagen and for your Audis and okay, for your Porsche and for your Mercedes and all of that, okay, BMWs, okay, you are going to pay more for it. And if you don't pay it, well, someone else will buy it. Okay, the Indians will buy it, Chinese will buy it. Yes, the Chinese will buy it, okay. The Canadians, the Mexicans, the South Americans, the Africans, whatever. And if instead of making a million, we will make 500,000, well, as long as the money keeps pouring in, who gives a fuck? The Americans are not indispensable. They are important, but they are not indispensable, okay? And as change occurs, the world will adapt. And you and your little tantrum president that still has many years in in his post, if he's alive until then, I don't know. He seems to be ill, at least according to the opinions of people that are much more medical, have much more medical knowledge than me. I'm not a doctor, never was. I know first aid and a couple of things that I learned when I was a kid and a little more, but that's not important, is it? So, another tantrum of Mr. Trump and another episode of a stupid sitcom. Folks, thank you all for listening to my video. Thank you for having the patience to sometimes put up with my little rants. I'm sorry, but I start to talk. You know, this is Coffee Talks. Now we are just talking. We are just having a nice chat. Today is a good day. It's sunny, but it's not very hot. It's nice and temperate. But I think it's going to rain. Don't know why, but it's April. This is usual here in April and in May for the weather to be very unstable. Well, folks, stay safe, and I hope to catch you all in the next video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.